All right, I see on YouTube live chat we have Sobham, Noval, SpongeBob, Mars, Mini, GV. Guys, if you can hear us, let us know how the audio is. We're going to be covering the news on religion and atheism and everything in between all around the world. Oh, hi Beej, hi Mars. Can you
Hi,
guys
Beach.
can you guys somebody let us know in the live chat if the audio is okay? Any messages so we could get started? Anybody at all? I think we're live. Audio is good. Okay. Beach is saying audio is good. Thank you, Beach. Thank you. Okay, so let's just today we have a lot of news to cover, so no fluff. Let's just jump right into it, right, Ellie?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Our first bit of news is out of Kut, India. The Indian Dalit man killed for eating in front of an upper caste men, group of upper caste men. Last month, a group of upper caste men allegedly beat up a 21-year-old Dalit resident named Jitendra so badly that he died 9 days later. His alleged crime was that he sat in a chair and ate in their presence at a wedding. Local residents from the Dalit community allege that Jitendra was beaten and humiliated at the wedding. He left the event in tears, but then was later ambushed again. Of the 50 families in Jitendra's village, only some 12 or 13 are Dalits. Police have arrested 7 men in connection with Jitendra's death, but all of them deny any involvement. Um, and not only do they deny involvement in this, but their families do as well. They claim that this man was humiliated at the wedding for being lower caste. So he went home and took pills and died 9 days later. This is insanity because this man was clearly beaten. And this is disgusting news. I mean, if anyone knows anything about the caste system, it's pure bigotry and hatred.
I keep getting news from Hindus in India that the caste system is over, it's not relevant anymore, and we keep
BS.
that's absolute horse shit. I'm glad actually that we have Sobham in the live chat right now, so to give us some context on this. But this is absolutely insane. And yes, we acknowledge that it's less than before, maybe, right? But it is very still extremely relevant in India. It's still this bigotry in India is one of again, I say this and I know I'm going to make a lot of people angry, but India is the amount of bigotry that exists in India. It makes it one of the most bigoted countries in the world. It's absolutely insane, and it is because of Hinduism. It is because of Hinduism. No, don't let anybody deny that. This is the caste system. It comes from Hindu scripture. It's completely tied to the religion.
Yep.
Anybody that denies that is bullshitting you. Let me see. Sobham is saying recent cases: Dalit man threatened by 200 upper caste people for a Facebook post, and girl bullied in college because of her caste. Committed suicide. One thing that I know, I can hear the Hindu apologists right now speaking. Oh, but the United States this. Oh, but the other countries that. Shut the fuck up. We're talking about India right now, not this whataboutism every time, sometime we bring attention to India and the caste system there and the amount of bigotry that exists there. Every time you point at other countries when we try to bring the attention to this.
Absolutely. It's infuriating. And it is, you say that, this is something that they did by law try to reduce, but even active in our Indian consulates right now, we still see stories of people personal to us who are suffering because of the caste system.
Right,
So,
right. And another thing to point to is Sobham was actually mentioning before I say that Sobham is it's probably on the increase now. That the right wing seems to be unopposed. Yeah, the recent elections is not gonna. In fact, I think Sobham is gonna send us a video soon about the impact of the recent elections in India. Hindu nationalism and right wing Hinduism is going to increase in India because of the recent elections. Is actually very scary. Um, and another thing is that a lot of people say, when we bring attention to this and we say it's Hinduism, they say we don't understand. Oh, there's many different kinds of Hinduism, and it's very but the fact is that this is from Hinduism. Yes, there are different branches of Hinduism, but if there are very few things that unites different branches of Hinduism, and this is something that is one of the most ancient. People are going to try to blame it on British imperialism, and I do want to give credit to a whole bunch of people in India that are fighting this. Like, this is not us outsiders telling, like, oh, India, like, clean up your own act. No, there are a lot of activists in India fighting this. There are a lot of activists in India fighting against the caste system and all this nonsense. But the ones that try to excuse it, the ones that are more concerned about the image of India internationally than fixing up this mess, they are betraying their own country. They're betraying their own people. If you care about your image more than the people that are suffering from this barbaric, backward, ancient idea, then you have lost your priority. This is how nationalism, by the way, Hinduism, just like Zoroastrianism and just like now apparently some Viking religions, these are ethno-religions, just like Judaism, ethno-religions. So that's why ethno-nationalists love to use ethno-religions as a way to promote ethno-nationalism, and Hinduism is actually a very powerful tool for that. It's very interesting because a lot of people that are anti-white ethno-nationalism think that don't mention anything against Hindu ethno-nationalism. And in fact, once you bring attention to it, those people that bring attention to white ethno-nationalism call you a bigot for bringing attention to Hindu ethno-nationalism. GV is saying a Muslim guy and his wife were just beaten up by a mob yesterday for allegedly carrying beef. Yeah, and these stories are going to increase in India. India is going to be a major battleground against fighting bullshit because right now we're losing. India, atheism, secularism is losing in India. It's losing in India. It's losing in many places. Again, a lot of people in European countries or in North America think they're winning the war against religion. But if you look at it globally, we're losing. We're losing in Malaysia. We're losing in Indonesia. We're losing in India. We're losing in Eastern Europe. We're losing in South America. We're losing in the Middle East. Everywhere else we're losing. Oh my god. Oh, hi. Hey, Christy is here. That's amazing. That's great.
Hi, Christy.
Let me see. Guys, make sure you mention Atheist Republic if you want me to read the comments. By the way, this is what I'm saying right now. I know a lot of our fans, we're going to lose a lot of our fans because of this, right? Because there's a lot of, just like we have a lot of atheists that make excuses for Christianity, just like we have a lot of atheists that make excuses for Islam, we also have a lot of atheists in India that make excuses for Hinduism. And we call bullshit out every time where we see it. And a lot of them are followers of Atheist Republic. And I understand that a lot of them are like, oh, you don't understand what you're talking about. Armin, Hinduism is not like Abrahamic religions. It's the Abrahamic religions that are a problem. Eastern religions are not the problem. Well, these stories like this proves otherwise, right? Sobham is saying quite a few. By the way, Sobham is, from there, and he's also very familiar with all the. He follows all the Hindu stories, and I actually asked him to send us some videos explaining the situation for us, and it's really good that we have him today in the live chat. He's saying quite a few atheists actually voted for the right wing as they fell prey to the nationalism bait. Yes, I know it works all the time. Let's see what the top comment is. I think somebody from India is saying Modi again. India will show more news like this. Yep, exactly what I said. Oh my god, this is going to be, I think a lot of our news is going to be India related after Modi's win. Okay, should we go to, this is very depressing. Should we go to the next news? Hold on.
Sure, next news is out of...
Browser needs to load it.
Okay.
Chrome is failing me right now. Sorry, guys. I preloaded these. I don't know why it's not showing anymore. Come on, Chrome. Sorry, guys. Be patient with us, please. Let me see what some other people in the Facebook live chat are saying. Atheist from Jamaica. Hi, Andrew. Oh, okay. It loaded.
Okay, great. So this is out of Rotherham, England. A Sikh girl who wore a religious knife to class caused parents to take their children out of school. A Sikh schoolgirl brought a kirpan, a small blunt dagger worn by Sikhs as their mark of faith, into school earlier this month. It caused parents to boycott her primary school over safety concerns. The head teacher of Redscope Primary School in Rotherham, in South Yorkshire, was forced to write to parents and reassure them that kirpans were religious ornaments and not weapons, after some refused to bring their children to school over safety concerns. Her parents decided it would be best for her to not wear the kirpan in the future.
Well, good call by the parents to put their child's acting like normal kid, like everybody else, rather than, holding on to their religious belief and be like, no, we have to do this. Like, at least there's some sanity over there, right?
Absolutely. Well, and her parents also said, all we really wanted from our daughter over here was for her to come to school, make new friends. And if this is going to cause there to be some sort of issue with her doing that, then, she doesn't have to wear it. It'll be fine. So
Good.
her parents are fine. What sucked, and what's not mentioned right here, but what sucked absolutely was on social media, this kind of exploded with a whole bunch of people from South Yorkshire stepping up and making some pretty disgusting comments that's actually being investigated as a hate crime in their area.
Well, I don't trust the UK for recognizing what's a hate crime. Apparently, everything is a hate crime now in the UK. But so honestly, this is not a safety concern, but I'm still against allowing it, because if anybody knows anything about, like, Sikh, symbolism and stuff like that, this knife was not a safety concern, right? They're not used for violence or anything like that. But it still shouldn't be allowed for consistency, right? If other kids are not allowed to bring knives, even if it's not a safety concern, right? I know a lot of people are like, oh, this is ridiculous. These people don't know about Sikhism. This is not a safety concern. Yeah, I agree. It's not a safety concern, but it shouldn't be allowed unless other kids can bring knives too, right? It should be consistent. It can't be like, this is the rule for everyone, unless you have some supernatural forces allowing you to, have different rules. That's bullshit, right? It's just part of, religious privilege. Religious privilege should not be allowed. So I think it shouldn't be allowed, not because of safety concerns. I think it shouldn't be allowed because you don't get to have your own rules because you're religious. If you get to bring a knife, then everybody should get to bring a knife.
Someone's saying that you're very quiet and I'm very loud.
Well, my volume is to the max. I don't know what else to do. Can I bring maybe I'll bring your audio lower.
Yeah, bring my audio lower at least, so they're not having to suffer with me screaming at them.
Okay, I can't bring my audio any higher because I increase it to the very max. I don't know what else to do. How is that better? Maybe hold on. Maybe I'll fix something else. Hold on, just 1 second. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Levels. Is this better? I don't know. All right, let me know if this is any better. Let me see what the top comments are. Emma. Okay, yes. We just saying yes.
You're saying it's like you're whispering.
Yeah, well, I fixed it, I think. Is this not fixed now?
It might be fixed now. The chat's a little delayed. Sorry.
Right. Make the audio lower. Armin is so sweet. Oh, thank you. Perfect. No change in audio.
Oh, we got a super chat.
Oh, hi. Thank you, Nader. I recently finished the audiobook, Why There Is No God. It's fantastic. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Nader. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
They're saying it's better.
Okay, perfect. Sorry, guys. I don't know what to do. I keep fixing it, and all right. Dominic is saying, I'm going to bring my holy C4 to school because it's blessed with holy water. Okay. Madison is saying religion and weapons don't belong in school. Ricardo is saying religious knife. Yeah, sure. Knock yourself out as long as I'm allowed to bring my atheist Glock. Okay. Religion causing unnecessary problems around the fucking world. Pamela is saying, for the most part, you don't have to worry about Sikhs. Yeah, but the thing is that even if you don't have to worry about Sikh, if you allow religious privilege to one religion, then you have to allow religious privilege to all religions. You shouldn't. You shouldn't. Even if it's the most peaceful, lovey-dovey, rainbow and butterfly religion in the world, and they say we want to be allowed to not wear helmets. I was like, well, let's let these people not wear helmets. Well, now every religion gets to have religious privilege because you set up a precedent for it. No, bullshit. You don't get to. You have to follow the rules. Your made-up fairy tales doesn't excuse that. That's what I think. John Brown is saying my audio is fine. Ron is saying, of course, did you get your dress robe cleaned for the service? I don't know what you're talking about, but okay. Audio is good now? Yeah, okay. Audio, audio is gold. Okay, good. Next news.
Next news is out of Jerusalem. Israeli ultra-Orthodox protesters flee after counter-protesters stripped down to bras. Hundreds of ultra-Orthodox Jews clashed with police in Jerusalem over the weekend in protest of the Eurovision Song Contest final, which was held on Shabbat. The impassioned crowd blocked the street and stopped traffic on Saturday, the Times of Israel reported. Protesters attacked officers responding to the demonstration, and one was arrested. The protesters, shouting Shabbos in Yiddish, claimed the scheduling of the international contest was a desecration to the Jewish Day of Rest. A small group of women held a counter-protest by taking off their shirts, revealing their bras, and causing the protesters to go elsewhere. Orthodox Jews live by strict modesty codes and are forbidden from looking on immodestly dressed women. So yeah, all of this was over the Eurovision Song Contest final.
It's a booby trap. Right. This is great. I wish it worked on all ultra-Orthodox Jews. I know.
Oh, we got another super chat, Armin.
Oh, thank you. The ex-Hindu atheist. Oh, I love that you're calling yourself the ex-Hindu atheist rather than Hindu atheist. Hindu atheist is bullshit. Ex-Hindu atheist, perfect. Thank you. What's the life to say? Sorry, the super chat. The super chat says, I hate privileged people in India. Pretend caste system doesn't exist anymore, or blame it on the uneducated. Win of BJP has fanned it even more. Yeah, and ex-Hindu atheists, we're going to be covering India a lot more, given what's happening in India. But here's the thing, that with regards to the news, and again, thank you for the super chat. I wish this worked everywhere, with all religious people. You know how this is a very non-violent way of countering religious people, but it doesn't work with everybody. Like if you tried this against Islamic fundamentalist protesters, that would not be a very safe environment.
Somebody just asked, can boobs defeat Islam too?
No, these women, if these were Islamic protesters and these women showed up like this, then you should have an ambulance. Like, you should be calling an ambulance or something. This would be insane. But I know these women know that it works on these men, and I think now that we know their weakness, at least these ultra-Orthodox protesters, now it should be used against them all the time. In fact, go to their neighborhoods like this. They can't. I went to Israel. I went to their. There needs to be an invasion of their neighborhoods like this now, because this is not against the law. They haven't even taken off their bra, right? I think the secular women of Israel should go invade the ultra-Orthodox neighborhoods just like this, just march in like this and take over, because these are the most regressive, anti-woman, LGBT rights, community in Israel, and you should just march in there like this and just be like, what's wrong? Like, we're not breaking the law. I think it should. I think there should be a march of women into their neighborhoods. That would be amazing. Just take over and make demands. Make demands. Say like, we want your women don't have access to proper education. If you want us out of here, we want these are our demands, right? And there's nothing illegal about this because in Israel, because they haven't taken off in their bras. Where was this again? This was in Jerusalem.
Yeah, Haneviim Street.
Wow, this is amazing. It's not even until these women are very brave, because Jerusalem is a lot more religious than Tel Aviv, right?
Each just said the Bikini Brigade fighting intolerance. Sorry, It was hilarious just imagining.
By the way, what was the origin? So the Ultra-Orthodox protesters, they were protesting for what reason? And this was the women are the counter protesters, right?
Yeah, they're counter protesters. The Ultra-Orthodox Jews took over an entire street. So I think it was just making a lot of people upset. The police were already involved, couldn't get them to leave. So these women were like, "We'll get them to leave." But they're
step aside, police. Like, we'll have this covered
here. They were upset because the Eurovision Song Contest final was being held on their holy day of rest.
Okay, so here's a question, and I know the answer already. Was this protest on Sabbath itself?
I don't know.
I think it was. And some people might ask, then how isn't protesting work? Like, how are they protesting on Sabbath?
I feel like protesting work.
But if they are protesting, and if they were protesting on Sabbath, I don't think that's against the rules, because there are very specific things that are considered quote unquote work that you can't do, right? Like they have like written on this a lot. Like you can't you can wipe your ass, but you can't tear the tissue. Yeah, you pre-tear them and have it ready for Sabbath, right?
Oh, wow.
You can pre-cook your food, because no electricity is allowed, right? You can't turn on the lights, so lights are pre-turned on. Some people leave if they want to warm something, they leave the oven on. You can't even press the button on the light for the street light to change to cross the street.
Wow.
Yeah, when I was in Jerusalem on Sabbath, we were recording the Western Wall, and some lady came out at us, and she was really angry because electronic is like kind of like fire, so you can't have electronics running. So, but there are certain things, but they were dancing and singing, so apparently that's allowed. So that's not work. Like there are a lot of things that you think it's work, but they don't define it as work. But they look at the Talmud, and they, based on what, for example, if lighting fire is work, then they think, well, logically electricity should also be considered work, right? So, but protesting, I think, is not considered work, which is weird. Anyways, let's see what the top comment is. Rob is saying, brilliant, half-naked woman, the answer to almost everything. If not, brings a smile on my face. Okay, I think girl power. I think Rob has a different agenda here for why he's supporting this. Jeffrey, it works for Jehovah's Witnesses as well. Does it? Interesting.
Well, Beach is saying in the chat that as a Seventh-day Adventist, we followed some of the same rules.
Oh, okay.
So that's interesting.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Next news.
Next news is out of Birmingham, England. Meet the Muslims feeding the homeless during Ramadan while fasting themselves. Volunteers from the charity As-Sufa fast for up to 19 hours a day during the holy month. But when they're finished with their day jobs, they head to Lionel Street in central Birmingham to serve hot meals to the homeless, as well as providing companionship and practical help. As-Sufa, which also has centers in Walsall, Coventry, has provided 250,000 hot meals to the homeless since 2012.
Okay, this is nice, but why is this news?
It's news because they're hungry. And
No, they're not. No, they're not. First of all, anybody that thinks Muslims go hungry during Ramadan hasn't Muslimed ever. Okay, I Muslimed for a lot of my life.
I did it 2 years ago. So I would know what it was like.
Okay, so first of all, feeding the homeless, great job. Okay, but why is this news? When atheists feed the homeless, nobody covers that in the news, right?
Yeah, no one covers my charity work in the news either.
Why is your charity work not covered? Like, I'm not saying, I'm not, shedding on their charity work. Good job that you're trying charity work. But this is, again, religious privilege. Where was this? England, of course. Why is it that when Muslims do charity, it becomes news? Where is this? I don't understand. I mean, people feed the homeless all the time, which is good, should be encouraged. But we should get coverage as well. Now you have to cover everybody that is feeding the homeless. Like, I don't understand why this is the news. Again, I'm not against feeding the homeless. Good job that you're feeding the homeless. But why is this the news? And also, why is it that it says the title says meet the Muslims feeding homeless during Ramadan while fasting? It's the fact that they're fasting is not significant. Who gives a shit that they're fasting? Okay, so when you fast during Ramadan, you eat shitload of food before the sunrise, right? And then
they stop at 3:30 a.m.
Right, so you eat shitload of food, and then you quote unquote fast, and then on the sunset again you eat shitload of food. In fact, a lot of Muslims get fat during Ramadan. There's a lot of articles for Muslims online on how to not get fat during Ramadan. And it's a very unhealthy way of actually eating as well, to eat just 2 giant meals during the day, right? It's very unhealthy, and they don't go hungry. They eat more than usual. So the first part is nice, feeding the homeless during Ramadan. Okay, I mean, no, not during Ramadan, just feeding the homeless. But during the Ramadan part is like, who gives a shit that it's during Ramadan?
Well, and
while fasting themselves, who gives a shit that they're fasting
popular
themselves?
thing to do intermittent fasting anyways, where people typically eat from the morning to like right before the evening, and then they fast the rest of the evening and tonight. So, I mean, it's kind of the same thing, only in reverse, only you eat and then you sleep, and it's not good for you.
Also, I would be more impressed if they were feeding the homeless not during the Ramadan, because what you learn in Islam is that your good deeds count more during Ramadan. So, like, for example, if you read one verse of the Quran during Ramadan, it's kind of like reading the entire fucking Quran during non-Ramadan days, right? So when people, the thing is that I keep advocating that when Muslims do good, they do good it's not because of Islam, it's because they're good people. Because if you do good because of Islam, then you're not really doing good. You're trying to score points with Allah, right?
Right.
That's not really the definition of being good. Like, you're doing it for going to heaven, right? So I think, like, when Muslims are good people, it's just because of their humanity, not because of Islam, which counts more, I think, in my opinion. But if you are doing more good deeds during Ramadan, it goes against my argument, because it seems like you're doing it for good points with Allah. You're not being moral. You're just following commands. Again, I don't want to discourage this. This is good. I mean, yeah, I understand some people might think that feeding the homeless might not be the most effective way of charity, but it still comes from a good place. And if I was homeless and I was hungry, I would appreciate it. Like, if somebody wanted to feed me if I was homeless and somebody came like, this is not effective, I would like, fuck you, I'm hungry, give me the food, right? So I understand. I mean, but again, I understand that some people think. I mean, I don't know what the most efficient way of charity is, so I'm not going to judge it. B just saying, I'd be more interested in what the practical help is they are giving. I think B just pointing to what I said. Atheist is saying, my non-Muslims buddy was fasting last night. It was odd when he stuffed his face. Oh, wait. Stuffed his face the second the sun went down. Oh, yeah, because a lot of by the way, when he says non-religious, he doesn't mean non-Muslim, because a lot of Muslims that are not very religious all of a sudden remember that they're Muslim during Ramadan and become very observant, and then they forget again at the end of Ramadan. Brent is saying maybe someone should explain to Muslims that you can actually feed the homeless the rest of the year too, and you can't eat yourself. Meanwhile, yeah, I mean, I'm not suggesting that they're not doing this during non. Yeah, but the activity. First of all, again, this doesn't show that Muslims are better or worse than average people. I'm sure there are a lot of great Muslim people that do a lot of charity and they don't even want to take credit for it, or sometimes they do. It's fine to take credit for it. Some people, there are many Muslims that find charity more effective way, maybe as well of charity. There are evil Muslims out there as well. This is, we're not making any general comments, right? My judgment is not on these people. I'm sure they're kind. Most of them are very kind people. My judgment is, why is this fucking news? Why is this the news? Or why is, I'm if this is the news, then every other person feeding the homeless should now become news as well. What the religious people shouldn't get a advantage to this. Subham is saying that actually makes Islamic apologists say that this is true Islam and this is true Islam, and that's why people should follow Allah. Just because these stuff make the news, they become annoying as fuck. Yeah, again, Islam is a barbaric, backward, Sharia ideology, and again, you shouldn't let stories like this suggest otherwise. But I don't want to attack the people that are doing this, because these are, even if Islam is a backward Sharia idea, these people are probably good, kind people, and I don't want to attack them individually. And even if they are providing cover for a shitty backward ideology, most of them are doing it unknowingly, and they shouldn't be hated for it, or anyways. Wolf is saying, just because you do a good thing doesn't mean your religion has anything to do with having simple good morals. Okay, so Islam has a lot of shitty teachings, but to be fair, it does have teachings to saying take care of the poor and take care of the orphans, right? But again, taking care of the poor and taking care of orphans and all that stuff was not invented by Islam. It was there way before Islam and Christianity and Judaism, and it was discussed in much more efficient, effective, and advanced way. If you look at the way ethics and morality was discussed by the ancient Greeks and Romans, it was way more advanced than anything that you could find in the Bible and the Quran. And even if you could find a few feel good, simplistic, good messages in the Bible or the Quran, it doesn't excuse all the barbaric shit that is there. And in fact, these kind of simplistic moral messages that are in the Quran are used as cover for all that bullshit that is there, and makes the religion a lot more dangerous, because people keep pointing that you put that as the front, but then it comes with all that baggage. The thing is that people still do good without religion. So I'm hoping these Muslims are good enough human beings that if they were not Muslims, they will continue doing the stuff that they're doing, because I believe in these people more than many Muslims, because many Muslims say like, oh look, they're doing good because of Islam. But I will put more, I give these people more credit, and I say that I'm hoping these people will do the same without Islam as well, right? And by doing that, I'm giving the credit to the individual rather than the ideology. But if you take Islam away, and all of a sudden these people would not do these things, then this is not an act of morality. This is just scoring points with Allah. Where's the rest? Ansar is saying fasting is pretty bad in tropical countries. The hunger sets in as easily as 11 a.m. at the heat takes toll on your body. Yeah, especially because you can't drink water. That's one of the most unhealthy parts of it as well. Not drinking water. Like, I mean, everything we know about how the best way of keeping healthy goes against fasting around Ramadan. And still you see articles and videos like, oh, the benefits of fasting during Ramadan for your health. Bullshit. We know now that eating lots of small portions throughout the day is better. Drinking lots of water throughout the day is better for your health. This is not good for your health. This is not good for your health. Let me see what the top comments is saying. Alan is saying, fuck sakes, people. These are humans helping other humans. It would break my heart if if my volunteering efforts were dismissed due to affiliation. Get a fucking grip. Yeah, I mean, we're doing both. We're both. Alan is right. Like, we shouldn't dismiss it because they're Muslims, but we shouldn't also credit Islam because of their good deeds. We should credit the people. Okay, I'm hoping these people are good because they're good people, not because of Islam. Column is saying because poverty only exists during Ramadan. Nah, not. I think. No, I mean, come on. I mean, it's better than people that are not doing anything ever, right? Raymond is saying nothing encourages good deeds like 72 versions in heaven, right? No, no. This 72 version. You should stop using that against Islam. Already has enough bullshit in it, for us to attack. I mean, yeah, 72 versions is ridiculous, but no, it doesn't motivate anybody, right? I haven't seen. I mean, I was a Muslim. I know many Muslims. This is not on their priority list for doing anything. First of all, feeding the hungry doesn't get you the 72 versions. You have to actually be a martyr or something, right? But that is not a motivation for anybody. That has, I mean, you probably could find a rare example, but that hasn't been. Again, I'm not excusing Islam. Islam has caused motivation for a lot of barbaric stuff, but the 72 version one has not been a major force in this. Robert is saying good deeds only for their own souls in paradise. Well, we don't know, okay? I'm hoping that it's not because of that. I'm hoping that a lot of these people are just looking for the opportunity to do good, and they would have done without Islam as well. Andrew is saying, I think atheists should carry out things like this to demonstrate that lack of religious belief does not constitute lack of compassion or humanity. Yeah, I think so, and we demand that it needs to be headline news as well, right? Or any news, okay? So we're gonna when atheists do charity, it should if Muslims do charity and it turns into news, then atheists, when next time atheists do anything good, if it doesn't become news, we have to call bullshit, because where's the double standard in this? Okay, Ali, did you want to add anything? Let me see if there's anything here.
No.
Okay. I'm hoping the next article is already loaded. Yes, perfect. Okay.
Okay. Next is out of Alabama, USA. Arthur episode featuring gay wedding won't air on Alabama public television. The episode, Mr. Ratburn and the Special Someone, aired nationally May 13th, showing Arthur attending the wedding of his teacher and partner. The Alabama public television has chosen not to air the episode of PBS children's show Arthur because it included the same-sex wedding. In 2005, the station had previously pulled an episode of Arthur when a character had two mothers.
Okay, wait, so they got married, right, in this show?
Yes.
Are they not going to remain married after this episode? So how are they going to, in the next few... So they episode the wedding, but in the future episodes, they're going to be husbands, right?
So I've actually seen this children's show, Arthur, especially back in 2005. But so his teacher is not going to be a huge character in the show. So this is probably the only time you'll ever actually see his teacher outside of school.
Oh.
So it may just be possible there was just this one introduction to teach children, which in Alabama, that's just a no, apparently, with all the choices they've been making lately. So I don't think that it's a big deal that in the future he's still going to be married to a special someone. But this is insane. Are we seriously? One of the reasons that they gave for this was that parents should be able to trust when they put their children in front of the TV to watch PBS, that their children are going to learn and not be subjected to things that they'll need to teach them away from it. So first of all,
who are you to decide? Well, let the parents decide. You're government making decisions for what kids get to watch?
Yeah.
These are people that are supposed to be against government deciding things for you, right? These are the same people. And now the government is deciding what the children... And again, these are the same people that you say that, which a lot of times they're right, there's a lot of sensitive snowflakes on the left, right? But let this be... example for you to show that the left doesn't have a monopoly over sensitive snowflakes. It's a fucking cartoon, and they have to get the government involved. And again, and these are the people that are saying that Christianity is under attack. The people that use their Christian values to decide for the rest of the population what their kids get to watch are saying Christianity is under attack in their country. Fucking bullshit. Alabama has recently, the news coming out of there is, getting a lot of attention for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
Let me see what the top comment is. Sweep home Alabama. Okay, I know this is funny, Alabama, like Taliban or something. But I'm hoping that this is just a joke and people don't actually think that this is as bad as living under Taliban. I know a lot of people trying to win the victimhood Olympics, but this is bad and it's bullshit and it should be fought against. But again, please don't ever suggest that this is as bad as living in Saudi Arabia or under Taliban or something like that. Sarah saying they show it if the character was fucking his own sister. I think no. I think you have to be raping your own father for that to be biblical.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Wait, wasn't there a story in the Bible?
Oh, that was an attack on Alabama, not the Bible.
Yeah.
What? Sorry, go ahead.
I think there actually was a story in the Bible where someone slept with their sister, like Tamara or something. Maybe it was brother-in-law. I don't remember. I'll have to go back and reread that. But
yeah, brother. No, not brother-in-law. Sister. Yeah, sister-in-law.
Yeah.
Okay, let me see what else. But again, look how sensitive they are. And if you did anything like this against, like, if you stop showing something because it was let's say, like, for example, there was a show that was anti-gay, like it was homophobic, right? And a network, not the government, a network, a private organization decided, like, we're not going to air this because this is anti-LGBT. This is homophobic. These same people would lose their mind. They're like, right. Christianity is under attack. Right? Again, a private organization. But now, when the government decides to do that, this is where government shouldn't. These are the people that want the government to step aside and not to interfere with people's decision making. And this shows a double standard, because now, if they were consistent, they should have been like, you know what, we're Christian, we don't want to show this to our kids, but we decide government shouldn't step in and make this kind of decision. This is the government deciding, right? Yeah, it's public television. Yes. But they're not consistent. They're hypocrites.
Right.
Yes. Let me see. John is saying, "Oh my God, government censorship under his eye." Handmaid's Tale reference. Yeah, I love that show. By the way, it's never going to become like Handmaid's Tale. I know a lot of people think that the Republicans are just 2 steps away from turning the United States like that. It's never going to happen. But just because that's never going to happen doesn't mean that you shouldn't fight, okay? You don't have to scare people with extreme scenarios that will never happen just to fight against bullshit like this. This kind of bullshit is worth fighting against, even if it's never going to get as extreme as I know a lot of you want it to become. A lot of you anti-Christians wish it becomes like Handmaid's Tale or Taliban-like, because when you're an activist, the situation is when, how sometimes firefighters wish for fire, right? They're just wanting fire to happen, and because they want to be. This is actually a known thing that happens among firefighters, right? As atheist activists, we have to make sure that we don't fall into that trap. Don't be careful. Analyze your agenda, your feelings. Don't hope for things to get worse for your activism to become more relevant, okay? And it's a very easy thing for happen. Like, it might happen to you mentally without you even knowing it. Check with your own, priorities. See if you're following. That might be happening to you, okay? don't, because then you become part of the problem. This has happened with a lot of people on all sides. Okay, I'm not just talking about atheist activists. There's a lot of Muslims that are just waiting for the next Islamic attack. There's a lot of Christians that are just hoping for the next attack on Christians. There are a lot of people on the regressive left in the United States and Europe that are just want the white supremacists to become bigger, right? There are a lot of people on the alt-right that are loving the PC culture because now they become more relevant, right? So just whatever you're fighting, just try to check. Like I asked my dad when my dad is a heart surgeon, right? Asked him if tomorrow you could just snap your fingers and every single person with a heart disease would be cured. Would you do it? And he said, without hesitation. And I'm like, but you would be out of a job. I'm like, I don't give a shit. I will go become a farmer or something, right?
Yeah.
So just ask yourself, like, if you're entire, even if everything you do depends on fighting religion, are you wishing for religion to do more harm? You shouldn't want that. Okay, next news.
All right. Next news is out of Nashville, Tennessee. A man in church shooting aimed to kill 10 white people. On Monday, a prosecutor said that a black man charged with fatally shooting a woman and wounding 7 people at a Nashville church aimed to kill at least 10 white churchgoers, incited a 2015 massacre at a black church in South Carolina. Emmanuel Sampson, 27, faces a 43-count indictment, including a first-degree murder charge. In September 2017 shooting the Burnett Chapel Church of Christ.
Why inside a church?
Why inside of a church? Because he's saying that back in 2015, when that white supremacist went into South Carolina, black church in South Carolina,
right,
and he shot up the place, he was retaliating for that event.
So he wanted to be inside the church because black people were killed inside the church.
Yeah.
And he was only going to kill 10 white people, like so that it's the exact same number.
I believe so.
So, I mean, what can you say? This is fucking mental, right?
Yeah.
But what I'm wondering is that are people going to call this out in the same level that they called out the white supremacist attacks on Muslims and black people, or is this just going to fly under the radar because the person the shooter is not white and wanting to kill white people? Do you know what I mean? Like, is there going to be a double standard with regards to how much coverage this gets? I think it will.
I don't know. To be honest with you, I don't know. I don't know how to estimate this. I think that a lot of people who want to use this as some sort of case to prove their own point, like white supremacist groups and things like that, they might parade this around forever. Look at this person and make it louder, and this happened, so they all want to do this, and which is insane. It's just insane.
Well, no, I mean, but what you will do is that you will give them the white supremacists the narrative they need by not covering this as much as white on black or white on Muslim violence, and you will give the white supremacists everything they want by them being able to go to other white people and be like, look how society is against you. You know what I mean? You just give, they don't even have to write this shit down because you're just giving it to them, right? I mean, every time there's an attack on Muslims, right? People that don't follow us, they always like, oh, Armin or Atheist Republic, you're not going to cover this, are you? You're just going to cover attacks by Muslims on non-Muslims because you're biased. And like, you haven't followed us, have you, right? But they always say that. They always like, oh, these anti-Islam critics, they're biased. They only cover Islamic attacks, right? So, but the same people now, if you go look at the people that call out, if you want to hold the same standard on them that they accuse us of, if you go look at them, they're quiet about this. The same people that every time a white supremacist does something horrible, they like, oh look, the rise of white nationalism, the right, the alt-right is rising, we're gonna have Nazi Germany under Trump soon, and blah, blah, all that. They're quiet about this. So if they think that we're hypocrites, which we're like, first of all, we cover those, but even if we didn't, like, we cover attacks on Muslims, right? We do bring attention to it every time it happens. But even if we didn't, that wouldn't be hypocritical, because it's an atheist channel, right? Like, when we don't go to Islamic channels, like when Muslims attack non-Muslims, and Muslim YouTubers are not covering that, we don't go tell them like, why are you not covering this, right? They don't want to, but we cover it. But even if we didn't, that's not hypocritical, because that might be not what your channel covers. But given that if we did not cover it, they would call us hypocrites. Now we should use their same standards against them. Like, are you covering this? And they're not. They could have been like, for the sake of consistency, I'm going to post this and I'm going to condemn this. But if you go look at their I'm pretty sure you can find an example of one of them or a couple of them that are trying to be consistent. I don't know. Like, maybe let's see if there's any of them, right? And congratulate them for their consistency if they're bringing attention to this. But most of them are not going to touch this. And they should be allowed not to touch this, because maybe their activism is and just focus on white nationalism, right? But the fact is, they call us hypocrites when we don't cover both sides. So by their standards, they're hypocrites. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me see what the top comment is. That's a hate crime. Yeah, this is racism. Again, a lot of people are like, oh, reverse racism doesn't exist. Well, yeah, the only reason why reverse racism doesn't exist is because it's just racism. This is racism, okay? This is anti-white racism. And anti-white racism is on the rise. Anti-white racism is on the rise. If anybody wants to call me a bigot for saying that, then I'm a fucking bigot, okay? Anti-white racism is on the rise. Let me see. Will is saying, yet we will hear some excuses about how it's bad, but not racism, because people want to keep changing the definition. Yep. I agree with that. Dan is saying some Americans would still insist this wasn't racist. He has become what he hates the most, and again, I want to criticize our own community. This is the type of collective punishment that people believe in, right? So one white guy did something against black people. Now you're holding all white people responsible for that. This guy just wants to kill 10 white people randomly because they believe in collective punishment. They believe that they could hold people that have not done anything wrong. They could hold them responsible for the crimes of other people just because they share the same skin color, which is absolutely insane. But our own community does that as well. Atheist Republic community. We see when there's attacks on Muslims, Atheist Republic community, there's a lot of times that people say like, oh, karma's a bitch, or like, well, they had the coming, well, Muslims do the same thing to non-Muslims. Like, yeah, but it wasn't them. It was other Muslims. It was not those Muslims that were attacked. What the hell are you talking about? Again, collective punishment. I don't even know why. I know why this is so. It's the most insane. I keep trying not to use the R word. It's the most dumb. It's so insane. It's so illogical that I can't believe that it's such a powerful force among all sides. Oh, well, you did this to atheists, so we could do this to Muslims now. Oh, we could do this to Christians now. Oh, we could do this to white people now. Oh, we could do this to black people now because other black people did this now. Like, what the hell? How does that make any fucking sense? But the reason why it's so hardwired in our brain is because tribalism is so hardwired in our brain. Like, it was at one point, again, this is another thing that shows you natural does not mean good, okay? Because naturally this made us survive as a species, right? You took care of your tribe. If somebody came after one members of your tribe, you went after their entire tribe. Our species survived because of this, but this is not good, okay? It's not good just because it's natural, just because it made evolutionary sense for our biology. It doesn't make it that make sense for our society. What makes sense for our genes does not make sense for us in modern societies. Okay, if you wanted to go by what things that made evolutionary sense, then we should go invade other cities and rape every woman and take their children as slaves. That's how how our brains are wired. Anyways. Ali, did you want to add anything?
I'm just laughing at the thought of somebody taking that one clip of you saying we need to go rape women.
Oh, fuck. Holy shit. No.
I can just see it now. People be, look, Armin said.
And the interesting thing is that even if you joke about it, I used to think that if you joke about it, people are like, okay, yeah, that's too much. I'm not going to take this person out of context. But I've seen somebody saying something and then joking about it that somebody's going to cut this piece out and go out of context. And they still went and did it, even though, even after joking about it. So, yeah, that might happen. All right. Did you want to add anything? No?
No.
Okay. Next news.
Next news is out of Austria. Austria approves headscarf ban in primary schools. Austrian MPs have approved a law aimed at banning the headscarf in primary schools, a measure proposed by the ruling right-wing government. The text refers to any ideology or religiously influenced clothing which is associated with the covering of the head. The government said that the patka head covering worn by Sikh boys or the Jewish kippah would not be affected.
I support this because it's like children, right? I mean, hijab is, I don't know if people understand what the hijab means. Like, Muslims in the West are saying something that is completely different from what we were told throughout our childhood about what the point of hijab is, right? They're like, oh, it's my identity. Oh, I'm doing it for Allah. Oh, it's just me practicing my religious belief. No! It's about sexualizing women and not tempting men to rape them. Okay? So that's the whole point of hijab, okay? It's the whole point of hijab is men protecting their property from other men. Okay? That's why the hijab is there. There's no other reasons out there, okay? It was Umar that pressured Muhammad into, anyways, no, not going to go to the theological arguments on that, right? It was originally for Muhammad's wives, but then Umar decided, like, well, what's good for Muhammad's wives is good for everyone. But so think about it. The point of hijab is like, yeah, women are sexy. We need to make them less sexy. So think about that when you put that on a 6-year-old. Okay, what are you saying when you put a hijab on a 6-year-old?
Yeah.
You're saying my 6-year-old. Okay, I'm not gonna say it. That's gonna be.
Please don't.
That's gonna be taken out of context.
That would.
But you get the picture, right? You're sexualizing children. This should not be allowed. And a lot of people are like, well, this is not Islamic because in Islam, you're supposed to put hijab only when you reach maturity, right? No, bullshit. The understanding is that you're permitted to put on children. Okay? You are permitted. You don't have to put it on children, but you are. It's not like, oh, you have to wait. No, you can wait, right? You can wait for in Iran is like age 9, which 9 apparently women mature by age 9. You know why they pick 9? Because you should be able to get married by age 9. That's why apparently they mature by age 9. Anyway, so you're not allowed. You don't have to wear the hijab until the age of maturity, 9, but you are allowed to put it on children as young as 0. But a lot of Muslim parents think that we have to make this a habit before you because once you hit age 9, for example, again, I know the different ages, different places. Some Muslims say like no, it's not certain age. Well, in Iran they say no, it's 9. Okay, but the thing is that given that you have to put it on in public by age 9, they think it's better to start putting it on earlier, like 6, 5, most of the time, so that you get into the habit. So by age 9, it's not like a too much, right? Because if you just never wear it, and all of a sudden by age 9 you have to wear it all the time, you're going to resist it. So you might ease into it. So that's why a lot of Muslim parents put hijab on their children before maturity.
Right.
The point is that when you think that hijab is mandatory for your children, that is sick, that is sexualizing children, and it shouldn't be allowed. It shouldn't. So what's so it says like Austria approves headscarf ban in primary schools, and a lot of people are like, well, that's not good. That's too much government getting involved. You know what? I say the news should have been Austria approves headscarf ban for children everywhere. Everywhere. Not just in schools, not just in public schools, not just in private schools, everywhere, because you're sexualizing children. You should not be allowed to do that to your children. That's the whole purpose of hijab. The whole purpose of hijab is to treat women like nothing other than sex objects. Nothing other than sex, and baby making machines. So some atheists, again, I wrote this down because I wanted to make sure, because I noticed some atheists were saying, well, why just say hijab? We have to be consistent. Everything religious should be banned in school. I support everything religious being banned in public school, but that doesn't mean they're equal. Okay? Yes, everything religious public school, ban the shit out of it. Okay? You can't advocate for religion in public schools, but if you wear a cross as a necklace as a child, that's not sexualizing the child. Okay? If you wear one of those, what is that called? Yarmulke things, right?
Yeah.
Yarmulkes on your head, that's not sexualizing children. A hijab is sexualizing children. So there's a difference. But even though this is worse, I support banning them all. Why not? Anyways, let me see what Subham is saying. Subham is saying, didn't some Muslim guy say that women are just sex tools for men? That's not actually the last news for today, so don't get ahead. Mike is saying, as a top fan, can you get other faces to talk about these issues? It's always you two. Why is it? Actually, no, it's not just us two, because now we have a group. It's called Atheist Republic Video Reports, that everybody gets to be on our YouTube channel. Everybody gets to also be on our Facebook videos. Go to the group called Atheist Republic Video Reports and submit your own videos with your comments about the news or about your stories, about anything, and we'll take your videos and we'll put it on our YouTube channel. So again, it's Atheist Republic, so we want to represent the views from all around the world. So go ahead and do that. Just make sure you don't say anything that could get us banned on Facebook or YouTube. Okay? We're for free speech, but we also like to keep our YouTube channel. We also like to keep our Facebook page. So I'm saying, yeah, okay, I already read that. Let me see what the top comments. Did I read the top comment? No, I didn't. Top comments. Sunny is saying, love Australia. Okay. Fevzi is saying, great, children should not be subjected to such things. I agree. Terence saying, excellent, Austria. Juice is saying, dogmatic religion has no place in modern world in this day and age. Chelsea is saying, don't agree with this at all. It's discriminatory. Ban all religious clothing or none of it. Well, ban them all in public schools. I agree with that. But again, this is worse than other religious clothing. Okay? I agree that all of them should be banned, but if you have to go with one of them, I think it should be the hijab. What else? Abhishek is saying, excellent work, Austria. At least some people are sense in this world. Again, I'm just reading what is said here. Emma is saying, we are not allowed to wear hats, so why should they? Consistency, I agree with that. Austria just as oppressing as Alabama. Suzanne is saying, what? No. Oh, what the hell are you talking about, Suzanne? Austria just as oppressing as Alabama? What the hell are you talking about?
Wow.
This is making it consistent. People think that if we are not giving into people's religious privilege, that's oppressing. Well, how is this oppressing? You don't get to sexualize your children. You don't get to advocate for your religion in public schools where I bring my children. I mean, do these people? I'm pretty sure the Muslim parents appreciate that, because if I brought my kids into, I mean, I don't have kids, but if I had kids and they were Satanists and there was a rule that you don't get to bring religion into public schools, I'm pretty sure these Muslim parents would appreciate that. So just because they don't get to have separate rules for them compared to the rest of society, you think that's oppression? That's bullshit. That's not oppression. That's equality. Paul is saying that is very sad. I can't see the harm. Well, you can't see the harm because you're not looking. What are you talking about? Let me read what Paul is saying. I just see this as Islamophobia. Oh my God. Sikh boys and the kippah are exempt. Is it very confused? Okay. First of all, Islamophobia is bullshit. It's not. Don't use that. Use the word anti-Muslim bigotry. Okay. Islam should be feared. Okay. Anti-Muslim bigotry is what you need to call intolerance and oppression against Muslims, right? And again, this is not a form of anti-Muslim bigotry. This is a form of people losing their religious privilege. This is what this is. This is not sad. Sikh boys and kippah are exempt. Well, I agree. Those should also be banned. But again, at least those things are not sexualizing children. But if there's a rule for everybody that you can't wear your religious symbols in school or hats or whatever, yes, I agree. It should be consistent. Ban all of them. It's a public school, for crying out loud. David's saying very good. Hope will happen everywhere. And if someone doesn't like it, then just go to a country where you can wear them. No, don't go to a country where you can wear them. Just get over it. Just get over it and change your priority. If you have to sexualize your child to be able to function in a society, then you need to change. You don't need to move. You just need to change. Primary school. Well, I don't. Yeah, by the way, primary school. Check this at 6. Starts at 6. So yeah, it should be banned. You don't get to sexualize children. 6. Good. Yeah, I support this. Did you want to add anything?
No.
All right.
Our next news is going to be long.
Shit. Sorry. Yeah.
I just want to jump into it. Location is worldwide. Saudi Arabia and Israel are pushing U.S. to confront Iran. Trump shouldn't take the bait. In February, as a Middle East meeting hosted by the Poles and orchestrated by the Trump administration kicked off, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu Yes, thank you. Posted an ominous tweet saying that the gathering was to advance the common interest of war with Iran. The tweet was soon after deleted and reposted to read combating Iran, but the implication remained. Meanwhile, a recent Saudi news outlet reported close to Saudi Arabia Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman urged the United States to launch surgical strikes against Iran after the kingdom accused Tehran of a drone strike that closed down a Saudi oil pipeline. The article continues to say that America should avoid a war with Iran at all costs, unless Tehran threatens core American interests, preventing terrorism against Americans abroad or against the homeland, preserving the uninterrupted flow of oil from the Persian Gulf, and preventing Iranian acquisition of a nuclear weapon. Unlike Netanyahu, is that right, Armin?
Netanyahu.
And MBS, who have little interest in engaging Iran, Trump administration would make the effort to open direct contacts with Iran, and Trump has, in fact, expressed that he wants Iran to give him a call, but no such call has been received. So as an update to this that was updated about 8 hours ago, President Trump called a national emergency to grant an $8 billion sale in weapons to Saudi Arabia, claiming ongoing tensions with Iran forced this into an emergency situation.
Right. So this is actually update to this news, because this, what you're just saying, happened 8 hours ago, right? So
Right.
we had this news posted a few days, 3 days ago, but what you just added was something that was an update. By the way, Trump is not going to get that call. I mean, I follow a lot of Iranian channels, because I'm from Iran, so I understand the language. I follow a lot of their news sources and a lot of commentary on it, a lot of, different sides in Iran. Again, Iran, a lot of people talk about the Iranian people or people of other countries as if they're all on the same side. Like they're all, oh, what do the Iranian people think about Trump attacking Iran?
Was
Well,
that
like people ask me, for example, oh, Armin, what do Iranian people think about Trump attacking Iran? I'm like, well, depends who you ask, right? Like they don't all think the same thing, right? There are a lot of them that are waiting for Trump to attack because they think this is their only chance to get rid of the Islamic Republic of Iran. A lot of them think that no, fuck that. A lot of them support the government. Obviously, they would be against this attack. A lot of them support the government, but they want this attack to happen because they think that they will win this war. And a lot of people are against the Islamic Republic, the government in Iran, and they don't want this war. So there's so many different opinions. So when people ask me, what do Iranian people think? By the way, if you talk to most of these people, almost all of them try to make it seem like their opinion reflects majority. Okay, so if you talk to Iranians that are against this war, they act like they're the majority opinion, and if the ones that are for it also, like, everybody think like this. But I don't. Okay, I'm telling you, it's a very divided situation right there right now. Okay, but one thing that is very one thing that is very common now among politicians, at least, is that they're anti-negotiation. Both the hardliners and the so-called reformists, right? They used to be against the hardliners and the reformists. They used to be against each other. The hardliners were like, "Fuck negotiation with the United States. Fuck talking to the United States," and the reformists were like, "Yeah, maybe we should talk to the West," or. But ever since Trump took the nuclear deal away from Iran, now the hardliners are going to the reformers, like, we told you, you don't negotiate with the United States, and now everybody is jumping on the no negotiation with the United States bandwagon, right? So if Trump is waiting for a call, like that's a political suicide right now in Iran to suggest talking to United States, right? So if he's waiting for a call, he might be. I don't think unless somebody falls out of line and just grabs the phone without getting permission from the higher ups, you're not going to get that call. But this is reminding a lot of people about the Iran-Iraq war, with a lot of the U.S.-Iraq war, the invasion of Iraq by Bush, right? And there's a lot of similarities, and there's a lot of differences. The similarities are, a lot of people are like, oh, we heard this narrative before. They're giving us stories about, they're hyping this up. They're trying to talk about a threat that it's not there. And we saw the story before. We saw what happened. We regretted it. And now it's going to happen again, right? But and I also saw some other anti-U.S. news saying that, oh, the media is doing the same thing they did with the Iraq war. They just became the government's mouthpiece, and they created the environment to go to war. But no, that's not happening this time. The media is not the media is actually very openly criticizing this. So it doesn't seem like what happened with the Iraq invasion. It seems like you're seeing a lot more pushback against this. And in fact, what you had with the Iraq war, that you got the environment needed to get the support of the people to go to war, was that you had 9/11. A lot of people were feeling very nationalistic, like, yeah, let's go fuck them up, everybody, right? But now you don't have a 9/11. And there might be a lot of people that are hoping for Iran to do something. Some people are even suggesting that they're moving, a lot of U.S. armies are being put close to Iranian proxies in the region as like a sacrificial lamb for Iran to do something, so that the United States could have its Pearl Harbor or its 9/11 as an excuse for an attack, right? I don't know if that's true. That seems very conspiratorial, but people are saying that. Again, I don't know. Nobody can know if that's true or not. But again, like Pearl Harbor, you needed before, U.S. citizens are very anti-war on average, unless something very significant happens. Before Pearl Harbor, United States citizens didn't want to go to war. Then you had Pearl Harbor, then they had the thumbs up. Because of the memories of Vietnam, Americans were very anti-war. Then you had 9/11, they give you the thumbs up. So if this president wants to go to war, I don't know. I don't think. Okay, so Trump is actually right now. This guy is actually not. His base is very different from other Republicans, so we could talk about that after. But if he did want to go to war, he doesn't have that excuse yet. He doesn't have that attack that could be like, look, we need to go after them now, right? So, and Iran is, is attacking some interest, but U.S. interests in the region, because Iran, it's not like 9/11. They don't have to come all the way to New York to do something. United States is all over the place right now, around Iran. So Iran, with their missiles and with all their boats and everything around in the Persian Gulf and everything, they have so many U.S. assets right next to them to be able to attack, right? They don't have to come all the way to the United States to attack United States, right? They could just attack United States right in their back door. But it seems like some people are waiting for that. But right now, I think Iran is not taking the bait, right? Because I think they know that this is bait for them to grab, and then United States then has this go ahead to attack. So they're kind of attacking, but not aggressively, because they also don't. Because when you also have the Navy ships and stuff going there, they don't want to be acting like, well, we're not going to do anything at all, right? They want to attack it a bit, but not attack it in a way for it to be able to be used as hype against Iran. So again, in Iran, even in the government, there's a lot of division about the best reactions to this. But the problem is the United States citizens right now don't have an appetite for war. They don't have a budget for war. They don't have an appetite for war. And it would have been easier for Trump to do this if this was his second term, because he would not. This would really, really hurt his re-election chances if he goes to war with Iran, right?
Well,
So,
if we're active in war, this is actually going to improve his chance for re-election if we are active in the war.
why you say that? Because his
Bush,
base.
9/11.
No, but this Republican president is different from other Republican presidents when it comes to his base.
Absolutely.
When it comes to his base, because his base is anti-war, which is new for a Republican president.
I don't think his base is anti-war.
It is. It's the new right, right? The old right was the neocons. The new right is like focus on home. The new right was the Trump's right, at least.
I understand that's what they want.
Right.
That's what they'll say. Okay, but what they want is whatever Trump says we need. All right, so Trump had to declare a national, and before anyone thinks that I hate Trump or something, I actually don't. But what Trump did here was he declared a national emergency to bypass Congress so that he could get this plan approved. And once he tells his base that this is a national emergency and we need this, they're going to follow suit. That's what we do. It's what we've done in America.
Right, but that
is if we are active in war, that president will serve a second term.
But okay, so you might be right, but look at what happened after Trump bombed some Assad Syrian interest, right? In Syrian, assets of Assad, right? His base was angry. Like they did cry foul. Like it caused a huge division among Trump supporters, because they're like, we voted for you because we wanted you to stay out of They said like it became the new narrative was like it's Clinton and Obama that want to do all these foreign. It used to be like, oh, Republicans were pro-war, Democrats were against it, but the Trump supporters turned that narrative around. We're gonna vote for the anti-war Trump. It's Clinton that wants to do these like attacks. All these foreign uh, invasions and government changing and so like they're like, no, we want you to focus at home. So the new narrative, I don't know, maybe you're right, maybe it always works the same, but it seems like this president is different, right? I'm not.
No, and I agree. I mean,
And
you're absolutely right. This time is different.
And you're comparing it to Bush, but Bush didn't just get, let's go to war with Iraq. Bush had 9/11 to use, right?
You're absolutely right.
So,
you're absolutely right. I'm just saying historically, it seems that if we start a war, we want to go ahead and, continue and push on. But you're right. This case is different. So I'm not going to, if I had to put my money on it, I'd say he wants us in a war so he can win a re-election.
we don't know actually if he wants a war, because it seems like there's a battle going on in the White House, right? It seems like John Bolton types are pushing him to go to war, and Trump is looking at his base and he's like, maybe we shouldn't. It seems like there's a huge disagreement. But anyway, Sobham is saying a lot of Americans are actually sensible for not wanting war, very unlike many people I know who want a nuclear bomb to be dropped out on Pakistan. Holy fuck. Okay, but just to be clear, I'm not anti-interventionist. There are interventions that make sense, okay? Like Nazi Germany, okay? So
right.
That was a good, just because we're speaking, I think this intervention, again, intervention against Iran does make sense, but not an outright war, right? There are better ways to act against the Iranian government. This is an unwinnable war. Again, I know I'm not trying to defend the Islamic Republic of Iran, but they are a much bigger army than Saddam's army. When United States attacked Saddam's government was at the weakest it had ever been. Iran's army right now is at the strongest that it has ever been. Okay? This is an army much bigger, much more powerful, with much more resources, with millions of soldiers, with missiles that could reach Israel, Saudi Arabia, with proxies all over the Middle East. The chaos that would come out of attacking Iran around the Middle East would be astronomically higher than what happened after Saddam fell. Like, think about everything that came out of after the Iraq war. All the, the rise of ISIS, right? All these, Syria, Yemen, all of that. That's going to be, again, I can't predict the future, but to me it seems like it's going to be much bigger. The mess will be much bigger compared to because Iran, it has its tentacles everywhere in the Middle East. Everywhere. Yeah. Again, this should be a battle of ideas rather than a battle between militaries. Iran should be defeated the way the Soviet Union was defeated. It should be an ideological battle. It should be a Cold War. It should be, spies and assassinations of key figures, and at that time, when the United States doesn't have the credibility that it used to have when it was going against communism, because when it was going against communism, most people around the world were looking at people living under communism and people living under capitalism, and people were like, yeah, I want the capitalism one, please, right? And the United States won that war of ideas, right? People rose up in their own countries and they changed governments, and governments fell because of winning that battle of ideas. But the United States lacked that credibility now because of its support for countries like Saudi Arabia, right? So it can't go and be like, hey, we support human rights now, because you don't, because you support Saudi Arabia. So it can't win. So I guess other people have to win that battle of ideas, but you have to go after the core of the ideas that the Islamic Republic of Iran is based on. You have to fight against the idea of Vilayat Faqih. But the problem is that it's not like Ali, it's not like we understand these things and people that are paid millions of dollars, analysts and no, they know these things. But the reason why we think like, well, this doesn't seem like a right move, but the thing is that it is the right move if you understand their goals. If you understand the people that are funding John, Bolton, or people that it's first of all it's Israel and Saudi Arabia, right? Because they know they don't have the resources to go against Iran, right?
Right.
And and you have to understand that this will not cause stability in the Middle East. It will cause chaos, but maybe chaos is the goal, all right? Because if you think chaos is the goal, these people are not idiots. It's not like we understand these things, and those people that have studied the Middle East forever and now they're advisors, they don't understand what's going on. Yeah, you have to, again, this going to seem, and I'm going to accept feedback if I'm wrong about this, okay? Because it sounds like a conspiracy theory. But we know the effect of lobby groups, right? We have studies after studies that show that lobby groups impact directly government policies, right? And if you look at one of the biggest lobby groups in the United States is the weapon industry, okay? A war with Iran might not be a winnable war, but maybe winning against Iran is not the goal. Maybe an endless war is the goal, okay? Maybe more chaos in the Middle East is the goal. What will happen to, okay, and again, oil prices going up. It used to be bad for the United States for oil to go up. But now, United States used to be an importer of oil, but now it's one of the largest exporters of oil. So oil companies in the United States what impact their lobbying has on United States policies. Oil prices going up used to be bad for the United States. Now it's good for the United States. So chaos in the Middle East might not be something that they're trying to avoid. Again, this is conspiracy level stuff. But if you want to say why I'm wrong, let us know in the comments. Answer saying have you seen? No, I haven't seen that documentary. I'll check it out if I remember. Renzo is saying the Soviet Union collapsed under its own bloated weight and the nationalist divisions within the USSR. The US didn't do much to trigger. Yeah, no, it did, because it was people's. Okay, it was the war against the USSR. It wasn't just inside USSR. It was a global battle, right? And it was a war between not just two countries, but it was a war between two ways of life, two ways of living, two philosophies, right? And people in different communist countries around the world demanded differently, right? And it did collapse under its own weight, but thanks to also marketing and the promotion of how shitty these ideas are, right? Iran, the PR machine of the Iranian government is very strong. So Iran could also, collapse under its own weight if we get to do the same level of, promotion and advertisement against its ideology, right? Because there is a pushback against the nonsense that was communism. That same level of pushback not only doesn't exist, it seems to be bigotry now to fight against that kind of nonsense. Again, war against communism was an ideological battle. USSR, could have lasted a lot longer if he had won the PR battle. Because we can see by, nonsense ideas could last long if there are a lot of people supporting it. I mean, if governments were falling under because their ideas were shit, how is Iran becoming stronger and stronger in the Middle East? Why is it that they have survived? Why is it that they have managed to, they have a very effective PR machine. There are people outside of Iran, all across the Middle East, that will die for Khamenei, that are willing to give their lives, millions of people. That's an effective PR machine. There's no pushback against that. The only pushback against that right now is a military reaction. That's not enough. That's not enough. And that's why you should support the Atheist Republic. Link in the description, because we are pushing back. We're small, but we're starting to. We are, again, we have Atheist Republic in Persia now as well. So we're. If you want to help push back against their nonsense, maybe you should support us. Do you see how I slide that in there, Ali? I just
I like that.
self-promotion there. Shameless self-promotion. Anyways, let me see. Oh, Philo from Tennessee. Hi. Thank you for being here. Let's see what the top comments are. Did you want to add anything, by the way, Ali?
No.
I had a lot of notes here. I don't know if I covered everything. I just went organic instead of following my notes. I think it was.
Good.
I think I followed. I said everything. Angela saying the first people to fight should be all politicians and their families. I mean, that's fun to say, but it doesn't really add that much value. By the way, I did follow some comments in, right-wing circles and Trump-supporting circles to see what the comment section says. And a lot of them are pretty annoyed by supporting Saudi Arabia. So at least I think, again, it does seem like they're not saying, like, we'll support Trump for whatever. They don't like that Trump supports Saudi Arabia, at least a lot of them. Jonathan is saying the Israel and Saudi Arabia should confront Iran on their own. Well, Israel and Saudi Arabia do not have the resources to confront Iran, and that's why they're being very clever, and they're lobbying United States to get involved. Marco is saying no money for universal healthcare, social programs, or infrastructures, but war no problem. Brian is saying, of course he shouldn't, which is why he will. I don't know if he will, guys, because he seems to reluctantly. I think this recent news that you gave, so he is giving money to Saudi Arabia, right? Because Saudi Arabia
He's allowing Saudi Arabia to buy weapons.
Sorry, so he's taking money from Saudi Arabia, the other way around. He's selling weapons. By the way, that's a crime. That's against the United States Constitution, right? I forgot to vent on that, by the way, for a second.
Oh, Armin, we got a super chat.
Oh, thank you. Oh, Chris, thank you so much. Chris is saying, goes by RPG here, saying, can we call lobbying what it actually is? Bribery, plain and simple. I'll give you X amount of money. Now let's talk about this bill. Yeah, it's very interesting that lobbying is supported by so many so-called free market capitalists, because it's very anti-free market when these people get to be involved so much in government.
Right.
But what was I saying? Yeah, this another weapons deal with Saudi Arabia, which is against the United States' own constitution, because it's undeniable that that Saudi Arabia is using these weapons to commit war crimes in Yemen, which is right now the greatest human rights crisis of our time. And United States knowingly is selling weapons to Saudi Arabia. Again, the people that are anti-Trump because he said grab them like a pussy, or he said a stupid tweet, you are anti-Trump for the wrong fucking reasons. These stupid tweets don't matter. This language doesn't matter. Those are not the reasons why you should be anti-Trump. The fact that he sells weapons to a country, knowing that that country is going to be dropping it on top of children, on top of ports where food and medicine is coming to a country that uses starvation against civilians as a weapon, that's why you need to be anti-Trump. That's why I'm anti-Trump. Not because of the stuff that comedians cover and all these people that, If he said all his stupid shit, all his dumb tweets and everything else, but had sane policies, all those tweets could be excused. All his stupid shit, everything that he can't pronounce, every fact that he gets wrong, all of that could have been excused. None of that would have mattered. But people keep focusing on that. But when he sells weapons to Saudi fucking Arabia, that doesn't get much attention. And I think, I don't know, this just came out 8 hours ago, so I don't know. I'm just guessing here. This could be completely wrong. I think he needs to keep his allies happy, which is like Saudi Arabia, and these people are like, do something against Iran. And some people, John Bolton is also in White House, are like, hey, we need to attack Iran. And Trump is like, I don't want to attack Iran because his base doesn't want to attack Iran. So I think he's just doing another thing, selling weapons to Saudi Arabia just to be like, can you have this? Just, maybe this would make them quiet a little bit. And also because Iran is trying to, calling their bluff, right? Iran is like, you're not going to attack. You're just bluffing. You're just trying to put pressure so that we call you, but we're not going to call you because you removed that deal, the nuclear deal, and it looks really bad on us if we call you from a position of weakness when you pressure us. We don't want to negotiate if it's from a position of weakness. And we don't think you have an appetite for attacking us right now because you're not going to get reelected. You don't have the resources. I mean, think about this, guys. United States could not even remove Assad. United States tried so hard to remove Assad from Syria. And Assad has nothing compared to what Iran has. And they could not remove Assad. Saudi Arabia tried to defeat the Houthis. The Houthis! They have nothing. The Houthis have nothing compared to what Iran has. Saudi Arabia could not defeat the Houthis. They thought it's going to take 3 weeks. It's now 5 years. What chance do these people have against Iran? Iran defeated ISIS in places where the United States couldn't defeat ISIS. Again, I'm not saying this to defend Iran. This is sad that we've allowed Iran to become this powerful in the region. And you're gonna make a move against that? It's gonna be an endless war. Like, this is gonna be a swamp that you're not gonna be able to ever get out of. I don't think Trump wants to attack Iran. I think they're just trying to bluff. I'm not sure. And Iran is calling the bluff. Like, yeah, sure, whatever. We're not gonna call you. They think they're going to put pressure on them for them to call, but Iran was, after the 1979 Islamic Revolution, Iran was so weak. They had nothing. Their whole army was like a mess. And United States could not remove Iran then. Now Iran has been the strongest it has ever been. They have their proxies everywhere in the Middle East. Their Hashd al-Shabi is doing so much in Iraq. They own half of Lebanon's government now. The Houthis are on their side. They don't even need to send their own army. The Houthis could go and send their head rockets. The Houthis are taking over parts of Saudi Arabia. Nobody covered that in the news, by the way. I mean, the Houthis, Iran hasn't even gotten involved yet. And they're causing so much headache for... Israel couldn't even defeat Hezbollah. Hezbollah is just one of Iran's many proxies. What kind of... Anyways. Sorry. Went for too long.
No, it's fine. It's all good stuff.
Again, if you want to... White House, if you want to defeat Iran, call me. Hire us. I'll tell you how to defeat Iran. Or just fund our show. Our Persian show. We have Atheist Republic has now a Persian show. Donate to that. Forget the U.S. government. We'll do it ourselves. Just kidding. No, but half kidding. Should we go? Ali, do you want to add anything?
No. I'm ready for our next news.
Okay, next news.
Next news is out of Alabama, USA. Again. Pro-life Alabama executes mentally disabled man a day after banning abortion. Michael Brandon Samra was convicted for helping his friend Mark Duke kill his entire family. Duke had planned the killings because his dad wouldn't let him use his truck. Despite Duke being the architect of the quadruple murder, his death sentence was ultimately overturned because he was only 16 at the time. Samra, who was 19, wasn't spared. As he was being executed by the state, Samra invoked religion. His attorney held up hope that Governor Kate Ivey who we talked about last week, would extend her supposed pro-life beliefs to the death penalty victims as well. But the hypocrisy remained in place. Alabama executed a convicted murderer on Thursday, a day after the state enacted the near-total ban on abortions. Instead of investigating evidence of brain dysfunction, trial counsel repeatedly told the jury that Brandon was a follower of Satan and the involvement in his crime was related to his membership in a Satan-worshipping gang.
Wait, okay, what? That was a lot of... okay, so he was trying to use faith to save himself?
No, actually, he wasn't trying to use faith to save himself at all. This guy is mentally challenged. So he has a below average IQ. And the prosecutor, the person who was trying to convict Samra, kept saying that Samra was a devil worshiper, and that because he belonged to a Satanist gang, he went ahead and helped his friend kill his family. His friend's family, not Samra's family. So
but these people did kill an entire family, including 2 children, correct?
Yeah, no, including 2 children. They did kill an entire family. I mean,
okay. So
that's bad. I'm not saying he's a saint or anything, but I'm saying at the end when he was on his deathbed, he did say something about like, "Thank you, Jesus, for everything you've done for me. Amen." Or some prayer similar to that.
It's so bizarre that the other side tried to use him
that he's a
being
Satanist.
Like, what does that got to do with anything? He killed the family.
It's the satanic panic that's been going on since like the 80s across America.
So using the satanic panic still works in the court of law, so much so that a lawyer wants to use that in the court of law.
In the South, especially, yeah.
I mean, if you have somebody that has killed a family and you try to highlight the fact that they're Satanists, and you're a lawyer, that's actually pretty... I mean, if you're a lawyer, you must think that works. And if that works in Alabama, holy fuck, Alabama.
The defense is coming forward saying, look, this guy is mentally challenged. He's got a below average IQ. And the other side says,
does that make you mentally challenged? Or because the defense, devil's advocate to this might be like, no, this guy is just stupid, not mentally challenged.
Yeah, well, and that's why they say, no, it has nothing to do with his mental capacity. If he's able to follow along with the satanic religion and be a part of a gang.
Okay, so now all of a sudden the other side's argument makes a little bit more sense. So maybe he was trying to sneak in the satanic panic a little bit, but his argument was like, no, you must be, if you're smart enough to follow these rituals, then you're not mentally challenged? I don't know.
David McGaffey last year, I want to say, put out an article about the Satanic Panic, explaining how, throughout the past couple decades, how it's been used in the court of law to turn juries' favor.
Really? Holy shit.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Wow. It's been used. So in child abuse cases where parents were later let out of prison and completely... charges completely dropped because the children came forward saying, we lied. The counselor who talked to us told us to say this.
Okay, but this case, do we know that this guy was, like, maybe he wasn't mentally challenged?
I don't know. I think that any lawyer that has passed the bar hopefully would go and get some tests done.
So maybe the argument that the defendant was making was we should do a test if he's mentally challenged. Because, by the way, just FYI, we don't know anything about... I mean, I don't know. You know, actually, Ali. I don't know anything about mental illness, so I'm not trying to act like... And I think the lawyers didn't either, because the lawyers was asking for a test, not making the case that he is a mentally ill.
Well, and here's the bottom line too: is that we want to point out the hypocrisy. Yeah. I am against the death penalty altogether. I don't believe the death penalty deters crime. It certainly doesn't deter murder.
We have data to show that it doesn't deter.
Absolutely, there's absolute fact showing this. It costs more to keep somebody on death row. Right. There's 1,000 reasons why I'm against it. And bottom line is I find it inhumane, right? But here we are. Here's this entire state whose governor just the day before signed into law that abortions were going to be near wiped out because she's pro-life, and here's this man sitting on death row hours before his death, by the way, hours. Right. He got declined for clemency.
So I'm going to put my Christian hat on, okay? I'm going to say, well, those fetuses are innocent, and this person was not innocent. That's the difference.
Aren't we all God's children? It doesn't matter.
No, but God's law says that you have to punish criminals, right? And this guy committed a crime. That's why we do not defend his right to live. A fetus has not yet committed a crime, and that's why we defend the fetus's right to live.
Well, I wouldn't even argue that everyone in Alabama believes that a fetus hasn't committed a crime, because in Alabama, they're a very Christian state, and every single child, fetus, embryo, whatever, is born with the sins of their father. See, you're confusing Islam with Christianity, where in Islam, all fetuses and all children are innocent.
No, I'm not.
Christianity, we're all born sinners.
No. Yeah, all children are. Everyone is born with sin, but not sin that is punishable by death, right? So, so if we want to do God's law, not every sin is punishable by death.
If we wanted to do God's law, we need to go ahead and wipe a few other old, antiquated laws from our books. Like, if you can marry, which set of cousins you get to marry and don't. I mean, we have a lot of things that are pretty disturbing that a lot of Christians nowadays would say are old and outdated laws that still exist. This has nothing to do with God. This has nothing to do with Christianity. This has nothing to do with the value of life.
But as a Christian, if I'm putting my Christian hat on and somebody calls me a hypocrite for defending fetus's life, but not this man's life, I would be like, no, I'm being consistent. It's just you don't understand Christianity. This man committed a crime that is punishable by death, and a fetus hasn't. I'm consistent. So what would you say against me? Can I challenge my Christian? I'm gonna put my anti-Christian hat on. Should I do
yes,
that?
Please do.
Because I'm good at. I'm a pretty good devil's advocate, I think. Okay, so so I'm gonna give credit where credit is due. These are examples that Ali Rizvi mentioned, and if you ask a lot of Christians, this is the hypocrisy that I think you should point out, because this is not. If you look at their laws, this is not hypocritical. It's consistent with what they believe in. But if you ask most Christians in Alabama, if you ask them that, do you think doctors or women that do abortion, should they be put to death? They would say no. Right? They agree with prison sentence, fine, making it illegal. But if you actually ask Christians in Alabama, do you think the doctor that did the abortion or the mom, should they be put to death for doing it, committing abortion? Commit as if it's a crime. They would say no, that's too far. But why is that too far? If they think a fetus is should have the same rights as a born human being, and they think if you commit murder, you should be put to death, then why do they not think that abortion deserves capital punishment? And even after you pointing this hypocrisy, most of them would not say, okay, fine, capital punishment. No, they would still think you shouldn't have capital punishment for abortion. So by doing that, they're already admitting that, okay, then the fetus is not the same as a born human being. They themselves are recognizing that abortion, which they see as killing a human being, deserves less of a punishment than killing a born human being. And once you open that door, they now are admitting that it doesn't have the same rights. So that's one hypocrisy. Another hypocrisy that, again, I have to give credit to Ali Rizvi for pointing this out, is that if you have like fertilized eggs, right? If you look at the laws right now, they're against abortion, but not against, for example, if you kill a fertilized egg, they're not against that. Like ask a Christian. Okay, here's a good thought process for them. Ask a Christian that is anti-abortion. Let's say a lab is under is on fire, and on one side you have like 1,000 fertilized eggs, and on the other side you have a 5-year-old child crying. Right, and you could choose which one you would save. Would you choose the 5-year-old child or the 1,000 fertilized egg. Because if you choose a 5-year-old child, now you have decided to pick the life of one over 1,000 fertilized eggs. Right? And I think most of them I'm hoping would pick the 5-year-old child. Right? But I'm saying these are the things that I think shows their hypocrisy. Because the problem with this is not like, oh, you're pro-life until the child is born. Well, that's consistent with their, like, killing this guy is consistent with Christianity. The problem is not their bias, their doubles. The problem is Christianity. You can't just, if you want to go after this, you have to go after Christianity as a whole, which we do, right? Christianity is the problem, not these. Again, I think the next story is going to make that point as well, because people keep highlighting these things as if these highlights are the problem. No, the entire religion is the problem. Because if the religion is
trying
true,
to make any sort of logic out of the irrational is just, I mean, it's a waste of time almost. I don't.
That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying the thing is rotten to the core. You cannot just go after these results, because when you have something like Christianity or Islam or any other fairy tale that you take seriously as a guide to life, you get these results. Of course, you get these results, and it's consistent with their dogma. It's consistent with what they believe. They bring true to their ideology. You can't just go after attacking these ideas. You have to go to the root of the problem, which is faith and God itself, or belief in God itself. Let me see what the top comment is. It's a meme. What's it? Okay, Heather is saying, remember, they are both pro-birth. Once you leave the womb, you no longer matter. I don't think that's fair. I think, I mean, technically Christianity says, oh, take care of the poor and blah, blah, blah. That doesn't make it a good religion, because that's just cover for all the other nonsense that comes with it. I think we need they're being biblical. Capital punishment is biblical. They're being consistent with their book. The book is the problem. Okay, let me see anyone else. Carrie is saying that's a very good argument. Oh, thank you, Carrie. Simon is saying good point. Oh, thank you, guys. Oh, lots of people are agreeing with me. Okay, should we go? Ali, do you want to add anything?
No, ready to hop to our last bit of news.
Okay.
All right, out of England, God created women for men's pleasure. Schools across England have received letters opposing the teaching of relationships in sex education and LGBT equality. Mainly Muslim families have been protesting outside Anderson Park Primary School in Birmingham after pupils were given books featuring transgender children and gay families. A protester said God created women for men's pleasure in this video.
Should I play the video or no? It's just a random preacher in the street saying, like, oh God. Well, he was saying, I watched the video. He was saying that we're not going to accept your values. We don't accept LGBT. This is what you're promoting. It's one man, one woman. God created woman for men. That was part of a bigger thing that he was saying, right? So it wasn't just like randomly just saying, oh, God created woman for men. He was saying it's like, it's kind of like, it's not one man, two men, or two women. It's one man and one woman. And then he added, God created woman from men. And it's actually very interesting to me that this gets a lot of outrage, because that's in the Quran. Okay? Why is, like, the fact that this gets, like, so much, people are like, oh, wow, this Muslim is saying God created woman for men. How horrible. Then why don't we get the same reaction for the fucking Quran? It's in there. It's this. Okay, let me actually read. Like, why is it that when this random Muslim says it in the street, everyone is like, what a horrible man? But when we have actual verses that is there, that a book that is endorsed by 1.8 billion Muslims around the world, with the verses that is way more horrible than what this guy is saying, it's printed everywhere and everybody supports it, and people, even non-Muslims, say, oh, it's a beautiful book, it's a beautiful tradition, we need to support it. Okay, let's see what the Quran verses say. Quran, Surah Baqarah, Surah 2, Ayah 223. Okay, so chapter, English version, chapter 2, verse 223. This is what it says. Should I read the Sahih International or Pictal? Pictal is more accurate, but Sahih International is more understandable. I go with the more accurate one. Pictal is saying, your women are tilth for you. like a field, to cultivate. So go to your tilth as ye will, and send your good deeds before you for your souls. And fear Allah, and know that ye will one day meet Him. Give glad tidings to believers. I read the Sahih International Version as well for people that don't like Pictol, saying, your wives are a place of sowing of seed for you. So come to your place of cultivation however you wish, and put forth righteousness for yourselves, and fear Allah, and know that you will meet Him, and give good tidings to the believers. So this is basically saying this, your woman is for you to do whatever you want with them. And this is basically what this guy is saying. So this guy is not saying anything that is un-Islamic. There are other verses as well that shows that God created woman as a gift for men. In fact, this whole story of Adam and Eve is that. Eve was created because Adam was lonely. Actually, the full story was because Lilith was not very obedient, but that's never got canonized. But anyways, but that's not even that's what this guy was said, which is supported by the Quran. But there are worse verses in the Quran. We have another verse that doesn't get as much attention as it deserves, because the most anti-woman verse in the Quran that gets attention is the wife-beating one. And I know why that gets more attention, because it's more relevant to today's world, because people still beat their wives. People don't go around and capture women in war and have them as sex slaves. So this other verse that supports that doesn't get much attention because it doesn't resonate with today's world. But this is the most barbaric anti-woman verse in the Quran, which compared to the wife-beating one doesn't get much attention, is this one. It's Quran chapter 4, verse 24. So Surah 4, ayah 24. I read the Sahih International translation. It says, and also prohibited to you are all married women, except those your right hand possesses. Right? The rest goes on about, how God, makes what He wants lawful to you, and what He doesn't want to make forbidden to you, He makes it forbidden to you, and He knows best, and all that, yada, yada, yada. But the main part is that God is, before this verse, if you read it in context, is telling you the things that is prohibited to you and the things that are allowed to you. And it's saying married women are prohibited to you, which you think like, well, obviously, except, and you're like, except there are married women that I can sleep with? Yes, here's an exception. The women that you capture in war as slaves that your right hand possesses, even if they're married, she's your property now. You can have sex with her. And this is a Quranic verse. Read any tafsir you want about this. This is what this verse means. And this doesn't cause outrage. You could go, buy these Qurans, and some guy that I'm not going to name, don't mention it, but his name, his book, because YouTube and Facebook don't like it. His book is removed from Amazon, but this book, the Quran, that has all of this, doesn't get nearly as much outrage as this random Muslim saying this in the street. Like, why? Why does this book not get the same level of outrage? Can you explain this to me, Ali?
I can't.
Well, I can, because it gets the religion, it gets the legitimacy and the authority by having 1.8 billion followers worldwide. And this is what the peaceful or moderate or liberal or nominal Muslims, or whatever you want to call them, do. Even if they don't follow this book, they're giving legitimacy to a book that should never be taken seriously. A book that should be fought against, a book that should be spoken against, a book that should be attacked, dismissed, insulted, mocked. And if it was not branded as a religion, does not get this attention, does not get the same level of outrage, because of all those other Muslims that don't follow Islam but call themselves Muslims. Let me see what Subham is saying. Subham is saying Sahih International is known for changing some verses slightly to make them sound nicer. Yeah, that's why I always have multiple translations ready for people. By the way, okay, so Sopan, I read the Sahih International is supposed to be the nicer translation, and that one is saying that you could fuck women if you capture them in war. So that's the nicer version. Chris is saying, I love watching the live videos. The passion Armin has for this is inspiring. Oh, thank you, Chris. Wolf is saying, men were created for women pleasure. They like the D as much as we like the V. Okay, all right. Thank you for that, Wolf. Let me see what else. I'm going to use the 5-year verse. No, okay, never mind. Let me see what the top comment is. Larry is saying, say that to my daughter, and I'm proud to say you would not have much manhood left to pleasure. I am so proud of her. She would eat you alive, and she looks so much like a princess. It is unexpected. Okay, Larry, I appreciate that you love your daughter. I want to protect her, but I don't endorse you suggesting violence against anybody, no matter how vile what sometimes says is. I don't think vigilante justice or mob mentality or violence against them is the answer. Mike is, but I also understand that when you're a parent, you may become passionate and say things, but that doesn't mean that what you're saying is a good idea. Mike is saying, man created God, period. Yeah, we know. We're atheists here. Tina is saying, I say let's bring back human sacrifice. No, what the hell? This is a top comment? Okay, Tina is saying, I say let's bring back human sacrifice. We can start with these men. I'm so tired of hearing this shit. If you love your God so much, please go and be with him. Earth is crowded anyway. Jesus Christ, Tina. No, human sacrifice is one reason why we don't like religion. So please don't endorse violence against anybody unless it's self-defense, and self-defense not preemptively and not collective punishment. Self-defense, the only way is violence is justified is self-defense while violence is happening against you. Okay? Otherwise, just call the cops. Nick is saying, when the women get really tired of this and realize their numbers, we really have had it. What? I don't understand what you're saying. God created men for men's pleasure. No, men created God for men's pleasure. That makes more sense, actually. Anyways, that was our last news. Thank you, everybody. Sorry it took a little bit long for the Iran news. I know a lot more about that. I know a lot of people would disagree with me. That's why I went on about it. And I think if this war escalate, if the tensions escalate, let me know if you want us to have separate shows on the Iran situation, specifically, focusing on that. If you guys want, please let us know. Also, we do think that we need to cover India more. I mean, we talk about India as if it's just another country. People sometimes forget there's a billion people there. Like, we're talking about the world's largest democracy, and now it's taken over by ethno-nationalism. Like, people are like, oh, ethno-nationalism is coming back in Europe and in the United States, and they forget that the world's largest democracy is being taken over by ethno-nationalism, and they don't give it as much attention as it deserves, right? That's actually the rise. If you're looking for the rise of the alt-right, look at India. The rise. There is not that significant rise of the alt-right in North America and Europe. Even if it's a little bit, it does deserve attention. So I'm not saying we shouldn't cover it. But where you see a real rise of the alt-right, it's in India. Okay? That's where you should, yeah. Anyways. So thank you, everybody. In the live chat, GV, Tia, Doorknob Head, Jung,
Christian Beach.
Subham. It was really great that we had Subham here for the Indian news. Christian Beach, thank you for moderating. Oh, Christy saying love you guys. Thank you, Christy. I know she has so many good comments that I'm not reading because she's not tagging us. I'm assuming she wants us to read only the ones that she tags. But sometimes I want to just read her comments because I know they're really good. Beach also, doesn't tag us, so I'm not reading it. Bija, thank you for being here, and I'm looking forward to Subham's videos to publish it because we want more coverage, more information on what's happening. Again, everybody, we're gonna have more coverage of local stuff coming from people on the ground there. Like if you're in Poland and the Christianity is becoming, I want to know about the Catholic Church's influence in Poland. Please go submit a video for us to cover. We'll publish it. If you're from India, please, give us some. If you are from a place where it's not safe for you to tell us what the news is, to send us a video, maybe like point the camera at somewhere else or do something else, or have your back to the camera. Don't do anything that could put you in danger. Again, in the United States, in Alabama, if you're in Alabama and this is the new changes in Alabama is going to affect you, please send us something. If you're in Canada, anywhere, Philippines, Mexico, send us news. We have a Facebook group where people could submit that. On Facebook, the videos, we download them, then we upload them on our YouTube channel and on our Facebook. It's called Atheist Republic Video Reports. Is that what it's called, Ellie?
That's what it's called.
Video Reports. Search for that and submit your videos there, and we'll. A lot of people are like, oh, you're not here, so you don't know what's going on. Well, now we have an opportunity for you to tell us what's going on from wherever you are. Love you guys. I went for too long. Sorry. See you guys again next week. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for correcting us. Thank you for disagreeing with us. And hope you do it again next week. Bye, guys.